In this video, I'm breaking down 5 reasons why HVAC is one of the smartest career moves you can make right now. Not some generic list. These are real reasons that matter. I've seen videos like this before. Most of them are either super vague or just guys joking around. This one's different. If you're seriously considering HVAC, I want to give you actual insights, and here's why I think I can do better than most. I didn't grow up in this trade. I came from the outside. I ran a marketing agency working with HVAC companies. I watched them hire people, saw how much techs were making, and realized this field has everything. Good money, job security, growth potential. So I stopped marketing HVAC and got myself into the field. I've been through the training, worked in the field, and talked to owners about what they're actually looking for. This is not theory. This is what I've learned by personally doing it. So let's get into it. Everyone's talking about getting into the trades right now, but most people are looking at electrical, plumbing, or even carpentry. They're completely sleeping on what might actually be the best career choice in 2026. I made the switch into HVAC about a year ago, and after working in the field, talking to other techs, and seeing what this industry actually offers, I can tell you with complete confidence, HVAC might be the most underrated, highest upside trade career that nobody is telling you about. In the next few minutes, I'm breaking down 5 specific reasons why HVAC beats almost every other trade. And some of these advantages shocked even me when I discovered them. Because here's the reality. While everyone's rushing into the popular trades and competing for the same apprenticeships and entry-level positions, HVAC has a massive demand, way less competition, and some unique perks that the other trades simply cannot match. If you pick the wrong trade, you could spend years fighting for opportunities in an oversaturated market when you could have been earning way more money, advancing faster, and building real wealth in HVAC instead. Look, I'm going to be starting with something that might sound weird coming from someone in HVAC, but hear me out. Okay. So this career is completely AI proof. And I don't mean in some theoretical way. I mean literally, you cannot automate what we do. I used to run a marketing agency, and I've seen AI tools get better and better at writing copy, designing ads, analyzing data, the whole thing, the whole shabam. A lot of white-collar desk jobs are going to be hit by automations over the next few years. But HVAC, you cannot robot your way through figuring out why someone's furnace will not fire up in the basement. You can't have AI climb into an attic in July to replace a blower motor. You need an actual person with hands who can problem solve. Solving in real time, work with their hands, and talk to the customers about what is wrong. You actually need to educate your customers. I came from the marketing world with being replaced by cheaper offshore labor. I paid people $3 an hour, I should know. Better software was like a legit concern. Now I go to someone's house, I figure out what's broken, I fixed it, and they are grateful. There's no AI that's going to show up at 2 p.m. on a Tuesday to get someone's air conditioning running again. It's just not possible. This is one of those rare careers where the more technology advances, the more valuable you actually become, because someone still has to install it, maintain it, and fix it when it breaks. So that's not even counting the fact that new technology in HVAC actually creates more opportunities for us. These new high-efficient systems, heat pumps, smart thermostats, they're more complicated, which means more people need to know what you are doing. So while other industries are worrying about automations, we're over here with job security. That's basically guaranteed for the next 30 years. AC's not going anywhere. No one wants to be uncomfortable. That's why I got into this. I saw the gap. I wanted a career where I'm not constantly looking over my shoulder, wondering if I'm about to be replaced by a computer program. I had a client drop us because they got an AI SEO thing. What is that? Anyways, I'm in my first year of HVAC. I can already tell you this. This was the right call. Now here's the part that makes this even better than I expected. When I first started in HVAC, I thought I was just gonna learn how to fix air conditioners, but it's not. You're actually learning 3 to 4 different trades all at the same time. And that makes you way more valuable. Let me explain what I mean. On any given service day, I might need to understand electrical work, like how to read a wiring diagram or test voltage with a multimeter. Then I need to understand plumbing and refrigeration, like how refrigerant flows through a system or how to check for leaks. Then there's the mechanical side, where I need a good understanding of airflow, duct sizing, and how blower motors actually work and why static pressures matter. And on top of all that, you're learning the chemistry of combustion if you're working with gas furnaces. I'm gonna give you a real example from a job I did last week. So I went out on a maintenance call and the customer mentioned that their system wasn't cooling as well as it used to. The first thing I checked was electrical. The compressor was running, but the amp draw was off. Then I checked the refrigerant pressures. The subcooling was way too high. This led me to check the airflow across the evaporator coil. It turns out that they had a partially clogged filter and a dirty coil, restricting airflow. So in one call, I used electrical diagnosis, refrigeration knowledge, and airflow principles. That's 3 different skill sets in 45 minutes. And on top of that, I got a commission of $120. Who doesn't like $120 in 45 minutes? And here's why that matters. If HVAC ever doesn't work out for some reason, or if you want to pivot later, you're not starting from zero. You know electrical, you know plumbing, you know the mechanical systems. So those skills will transfer to any other job or trade or other industries that you can go into. Compare that to someone who spent 4 years learning one specific thing in college. If that industry tanks, they're in trouble, but you have got options. Now, here's something important I need you to get so that you don't waste any time or money. I'm gonna be really straight with you. This trade is not for everyone. And I mean that not in a gatekeeping way. I mean that there's like a certain type of person this career suits. And if you're not that person, you're probably gonna struggle. You're not gonna be able to do the job. You need to be someone who actually likes figuring things out. So you gotta use critical thinking. When I show up to a service call and the customer says it's just not working right, that is not a specific diagnosis. You have to know what questions to ask, what tests to run, and you have to check off all the possibilities and narrow down what actually is wrong. If you're the type of person who gets frustrated when the answer isn't immediately obvious, this might not be for you. You do not want to do this job. You also need to be comfortable working with your hands in uncomfortable situations. I've been in crawl spaces. I've been in attics when it's 130 degrees, dripping sweat. I've been outside in the winter diagnosing a heat pump that's frozen over with really cold hands. It's not that pleasant. If you need a climate-controlled office and a desk chair, this is not the work for you. And here's a big one. You need to be a professional. This job is customer-facing. I thought coming from sales and marketing, I'd have an advantage here, and I did. But I've also had to learn the technical side because customers can tell when you're full of it. You can't just be a smooth talker. You have to actually know what you're doing, explaining it, and clearly give them the real solution. It's a lot harder than it sounds. I've seen guys try to get into HVAC just thinking it would be manual labor, and then they wash out within a few months. Because it's not just turning wrenches or using drills. You need to think of it like you're running a small business every time you show up to someone's house. Because that's basically what you're doing. You're diagnosing complex systems, communicating with customers, managing their expectations, and solving problems that really not a lot of people don't have the answer to, and it's not a one-size-fits-all answer. But here's why that's actually great news. The fact that it's selective means that there is less competition. A lot of people try this and realize it is not for them. The ones who stick around and get good at it are in high demand. And that brings me to my next point. Let's talk about some money. So let's talk about what you can actually make in this field, because I think this is where a lot of people underestimate HVAC. Most entry-level HVAC techs start around $54,100 a year. That's your baseline if you're just getting into the field. It can even get better than that too. I'm actually in my first year and I'm already above that. I'm making around $2,400 bi-weekly as my base pay, and when you factor in commission from jobs that I sell and some side work, I'm tracking $60,000 for my first year. That is not typical, but it's also not impossible if you got some hustle and you're willing to learn the sales side of things. And that's just year one. The techs I work with who have been doing this 5-10 years are making $75,000, $80,000, or even pushing 6 figures, depending on how much work they're willing to put into the trade. Also, this means that they know what kind of systems that they need to specialize in. So refrigeration, commercial, think of all that. And if you ever want to start your own HVAC business, the owners I used to do marketing for were making way more than that. Trust me, they had some nice cars. Compare that to when I was a barista making $9.40 an hour. Even when I had my marketing agency, my income would go up and down, and I would constantly stress about landing new clients. Now, I've got a steady paycheck, benefits, and I'm making more in my first year of HVAC than most of my friends who graduated college. And here's the thing, you're not drowning in student debt to get here. I dropped out of college and I did not finish a degree, and I'm earning more than people who spent 4 years and also have $100,000 in education debt. That head start financially is massive. While they're making loan payments for the next decade, I'm building savings and actually getting ahead of most people my age. But honestly, the money isn't even the best part. Here's what really sold me on this career. This is gonna sound funny, since HVAC has a reputation for long hours and emergency calls. And look, that is true for some companies and some roles, but it's not the whole story. And I want to give you the real picture. I work from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. Today was 4, and I'm shooting a YouTube video right now at 4:30, 5 days a week. I'm home by 3:30 most days, and I've got the evenings with my wife. I've got my weekends too, unless I'm on call or I decide to do side work. This job actually made my marriage stronger because I'm not grinding 60 hours a week or bringing work stress home with me, like when I had a company. When I clock out, I am done. I'm not checking emails. I'm not at 9 p.m. stressing about some other stuff or some other projects. No deadlines, nothing. I'm chilling at home. Now, I want to be clear with you. Not every HVAC job has a schedule like this. Some companies do on-call rotations. Some service techs are out till 7 or 8 p.m. during the busy season. If you go to commercial or industrial work, the hours can be different. So I'm not saying every single person in HVAC is going to get 7 to 3 schedule, but it's totally possible depending on what company you work for and what you can negotiate. So get those negotiating skills down, guys. And more than just the schedule, there's something else. This work is actually rewarding. I can't tell you how many times I've shown up to someone's house when their AC is broken in the middle of summer, fixed it in an hour, and had them generally thank me like I just saved their life. You get to feel that what you're doing actually matters. Compare that to my marketing days where I'd spend weeks on campaigns and maybe get a looks good email. This just hits different. And this is a huge, you're not locked into one path. I might stay into service tech, I might move into sales full time since I'm actually good at it, or I might start my own company again down the road, now that I actually get the technical side of things. I know guys who went from being techs to running entire service departments to owning their own business. I know people who specialize in one type of system and become the go-to guy on that type of system, and then they're clearing way over $150,000. There's guys doing commercial, refrigeration, residential, new construction, industrial controls, building automations, the list goes on. You will not be stuck, you will not be bored. There is work everywhere. And ultimately, you're not trapped into one lane. You can pivot in this industry in different directions depending on what you like and what you're good at. That's real freedom and flexibility. And combined with actual work-life balance, that's pretty rare in any career, let alone one that doesn't require a college degree. So here's where I'm at after almost a year in HVAC. I fell into this trade kind of by accident. I was doing marketing for HVAC companies, and one of my clients saw how I worked and offered to train me. I didn't plan on becoming a tech, but now that I'm here, I am bullish on the trades in general and in HVAC specifically. This is an AI-proof work with real job security. You're learning different valuable skills all at once. The barrier of entry filters out people who aren't serious, which means less competition for those who are. The money is real and comes quick. And you can actually have a life outside of work while building a career that opens doors instead of closing them. I'm not going to sit here and tell you HVAC is easy or that everyone should do it. It's not for everyone. Trust me, there's a lot of hard days in this trade. But if you're the type of person who likes solving problems, doesn't mind getting your hands dirty or sweaty, and wants a career where you're actually valuable instead of being like replaceable, this might be exactly what you are looking for. So you're probably sitting here thinking, okay, Brandon, this sounds great, but you had a client who trained you. What if I don't have that? How do I actually get into HVAC? That's a fair question because most people don't have what I had. I got lucky. So what are your options if you're starting from scratch? You could go to trade school. That's the traditional route. You're looking at 2 years, maybe $10,000 to $20,000 depending on where you live. And you are not making money while you're learning. You're paying to learn, and then you still need to find a company willing to hire you with no real world experience. Wah, wah. You could try to find an apprenticeship directly with a company, which is great if you can get it, but those spots aren't easy to get in, and you're making apprenticeship wages while you're learning, which again is not that much. Double womp womp. Plus, you're kind of at the mercy of whoever is teaching you. So if they're not good at teaching, you may be in trouble. If they're good, you learn a lot. If they're not, you're learning bad habits and you don't even know it. Or, and this is what I would do today if I were starting over today without the client connection, you could go through something like course careers. And I'm bringing this up because if I had known this existed before I got into HVAC, I would have done this in a heartbeat. Here's why. Course careers teaches you all the core knowledge you need. You're learning electrical theory, refrigeration cycles, airflow dynamics, combustions, all the stuff I mentioned earlier, but you're learning it in a structured way in like 1 to 2 months, all of that for $4.99 one time. Compare that to 2 years of trade school or trying to piece it together on job sites yourself. It is faster and way cheaper. And the thing is, when you show up to a company with that baseline knowledge already in your head, you're not a complete beginner anymore. You're someone they can actually put to work faster, which makes you more valuable and easier to hire. Companies would way rather hire someone who already gets how a refrigeration cycle works than someone that they have to teach from absolute zero. Plus, they've got a free intro course if you're not even sure HVAC is for you yet. You can test things out without spending a dime and see if this is something you actually want to do. That is a no-brainer in my opinion. Why wouldn't you at least check it out? It's free. If I didn't have that client offer me a shot, this is the exact route I would have taken. Get the knowledge up front, get it fast, get it cheap, and then go find a company that'll hire you. That's the most efficient path I can think of for someone who's serious about getting into this trade but doesn't have an in already. Look, here's the bottom line. HVAC is AI proof. You're learning in multiple careers at once. The barrier to entry works in your favor. The money shows up fast, and you can actually have a life while building a real career. That's a combination you do not find a lot in other places. If you want to see if HVAC is right for you, go check out the free intro course for course careers. Link is in the description below. It will give you a taste of what you'd actually be learning and whether this trade is something you should go after. Thanks for watching. If this was helpful, let me know in the comments below. And if you got questions about getting into HVAC or what it's actually like, drop those too. I'm an open book. See you guys out in the field.